Greasy said that's part of the reason why, and that being Allen's statistics from the first game, part of the reason why Bill Belichick told us this week he wasn't buying into the Josh Allen MVP craze because he didn't see it in that first game. We took care of him in that game. Belichick was asked about it after the game, specifically asked about what the ESPN crew said as it relates to the Belichick dismissing the Josh Allen MVP craze. And Belichick said, I don't know what they said. I'm on the record on that. And look, you're always on the record at a press conference, Chris. When he added, I'm on the record on that, that is his way of pointing out that what you say in these production meetings is almost all the time off the record. Unless they say you can talk about this, you assume you can't. And the fact that they did, and this happened, remember, earlier in the year with Nick Foles and Matt Nagy, and there was some stuff they said, and it created a brouhaha. They better get these guys up to speed on what can and can't be said as a result of these production meetings, because my guess is Bill Belichick, although he's always mad about pretty much anything and everything, he has reason to be upset about this if he was conveying his views within the confines of this off-the-record discussion, and it gets attributed to him in a way that's going to make Josh Allen motivated to beat the Patriots' butts every time he plays the Patriots twice per year for the remainder of his career.
Yeah, well, yeah, there's a code of conduct. I think that's the biggest thing. And again, it's there's conversations. You're talking football. We know all that, but I think a statement that like Bill Belichick is trying to say there is, yeah, that's one you usually don't pass along on the telecast. Hey, Belichick feels good about what they did against Josh Allen the first time around. They did a good job bottling him up. I don't think, Bill wanted that quote itself being thrown out there, that he doesn't buy into the hype or all of those things. Yeah, he sees it a little differently because, of course, he's going by what he saw with his eye in person, and the in-person test didn't pass it for him the first time around. Might be different now, but yeah, that's where, as an announcer, and I've announced a handful of games back in the day too, where you got to go back in your room at the end of the night and go, okay, wait, I wrote this down. How can I say this without saying this? How can I do this without attributing this to someone who actually told me, and those type of things? And yeah, unfortunately for Bill in this case, his dirty laundry got aired out a little bit.
Sometimes you got to step on that third rail a few times to realize you need to avoid it. But I'm surprised that this is happening, and somebody needs to explain. And I don't want to be overly critical, but it happened. It's out there. When they asked Belichick about it, and he says, I'm on the record on that, that is the clue to all of us that whatever he said was not on the record.
Well, you're right. Exactly. And I read it almost differently. I'd like to see the actual clip, but when I read it, I almost felt like he was going like, I'm on the record for that. Like they're like almost like I'm on the record for saying that about Josh Allen. Like basically, I thought it was almost like an ask, like that way.
I think that I haven't seen the delivery, the way that it was prepared by the Patriots. There's no question mark. I don't know what they said. I'm on the record on that. And in the context of the transcript,
makes sense.
My conclusion is, and I believe this is accurate, is that he said, I'm on the record on this, that I don't know what they said, meaning I wasn't on the record with whatever I said to them. And that I think is where things get a little bit antsy and a little bit awkward, and the damage is done because and who knows? Are we going to remember this when the Bills and the Patriots play next year? There's a chance we will. There's a greater chance we won't. But someone is going to remember it. Somebody's going to dust it off. Somebody who covers the Bills is going to ask Josh Allen about it. Some way, somehow, it's going to motivate. How would it not? Would it not motivate you? If you knew you had to play the mastermind of coaches twice a year, and someone reminded you that he doesn't think that you're as good as everyone else does or as good as you really are, isn't that going to give you some extra motivation as you're getting ready to play?
Definitely. No doubt about it. Yes. I'm thinking about it all week, thinking about it as I throw a touchdown pass, thinking about, I want to look over there and tell him to shove it right now. Yeah. That's the kind of crap that football players love, to have that, in their brain, just a little bit of extra motivation, and you can hold that type of grudge for a while. Certainly you can bring it into next year and make it personal that way. Bill is not a guy that likes to make those kind of comments be known. We know that. He's the master that way. And any, coaches in those type of meetings all the time say things like, oh, he can't play at that position, or that guy's not as good as everybody says. That's where, when you're in the business of covering a game, you got to know, like, he's saying that for me not to air that out. Like, that's a good tidbit. Okay, maybe that guy isn't as good as I thought. Maybe you can go back and watch what he said there. That makes sense. But you don't say it as in, like, he told me that he doesn't think that guy's good anymore. That's a no-no.
It's a dangerous game, though, because what Bill Belichick was trying to do, if he said what he said, and again, Greasy said it twice. If he said what he said, he's trying to influence the narrative that's going to be attributed to Greasy, not to Belichick. It's genius, but it's also fraught with peril because there's a chance that the guy you say it to is going to say, you're the one who said it, which is exactly what happened. So it kind of blew up in Belichick's face. But he was trying to use, the force of personality, the Bill Belichick reputation. I'm going to load these guys up with stuff that they're going to go say, and it's going to help create this idea that what's the big deal with Josh Allen, right? So it's genius if it works. If it doesn't, then somebody's scraping up some toothpaste and trying to put it back in the tube. That's Greasy for now, but the reality is it could stick to Belichick and the Patriots when they face the Bills next year.
Hi, I'm Mike Tirico, and thanks for watching. Make sure to hit subscribe for the latest news and highlights from NBC Sports.